What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes show. I hope you had a better weekend, maybe celebrating Easter, maybe celebrating Passover, maybe celebrating nothing. I hope you had a better weekend than the Yankees had in Baltimore, because here we are again, Scott. Welcome back from vacation, by the way. Here we are again, talking about them not being able to beat the Quad A Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, it's disappointing when you see them come out, and I tried to catch as many games. I was you scolded me again for watching a baseball game while driving, but I'm telling you, man, I-95, it's just like you just go straight. You
At
just
70
go straight.
miles an hour. We got to talk about
You're
this.
on cruise control.
So
if you're going 70 miles an hour, I got a problem with you. You should be going at least 80. The speed limit is 70. So, or as
70?
Kemp says, the speed low.
It's 70? Oh, in the South, who knows? I mean, up in the Northeast, the speed limit's like 55, maybe 65. It's never over 65.
95, dude. It's 95 on like down below in the Bible Belt,
Below the Mason-Dixon
below the
line.
Mason-Dixon line, below Virginia on 95. It's just like
so. Before we started recording, Scott goes, "Oh, I was like, you watched the game. Why don't you just listen to it?" He's like, "Well, I don't really watch it. I just listen to the commentary." And I'm like, "That's why the radio broadcasts make sense." And then I realized, John and Susan, love them, love you, mean it, might not be better than the TV broadcast for describing the action.
Well, that's not necessarily true. And you know what? I realized that I did have an option. I could have switched to the radio broadcast while still having it on, which was stupid. I didn't think about that while I was doing it, but I was concentrating on the road, clearly. So but yeah, I have it on, just sitting there. I don't really watch it the whole time. Like, I know when the pitch is coming, and if I'm clear ahead, I'll check out the pitch. It's not that big of a deal.
Do you think every minute that you drive, how many seconds are you watching the phone?
10 to 15. I'll glance over.
And you have your child in the back seat.
Yeah. I'm very safe. It's again.
And Bevan's sitting there in the front seat watching you do this. Like, she sees this, she doesn't care.
Oh, she's trying to not pay attention to anything I'm doing as much as possible. When you have a long car ride, if you look at each other the wrong way, things can go bad. So we tend to, get. When I need something to eat, she gives me the food. When I need something, I have trash, I give it back to her, and she puts it in the trash bag. We have like a system going on, but we don't necessarily. We try not to stay on each other's ass on the road. Well, that's why I drive, because I'm a terrible backseat driver or shotgun driver. Because I will just nitpick the entire time. I can't help it. It's my.
You know what?
And I had my mother in the backseat as well, which was like me in the backseat.
I get car sick.
I learned it from someone.
I've started to get car sick. If I'm not driving, I get car sick.
Of course you
do. Of course I do.
Of course you do.
So, because you only saw maybe 15 seconds out of every minute, you missed all those Yankees hits. They just weren't hitting when you were watching. All the other times, they were just crushing the Orioles pitching.
Yeah, no, I did see a bunch of singles, which was refreshing.
That's what you wanted, right? You wanted some singles.
Yeah, I like, it's a little bit more action there, but unfortunately the runs didn't score. Look, man, they struggled against starting pitching against Baltimore. So I don't know if Baltimore's system is ready or we're just not hitting anything right now.
No, they're not hitting anything right now. It was, I mean, especially Sunday, it was just lifeless. I mean, come on, you can't hit this pitching. And if not for the rain delay on Saturday when Wells was pulled in the game, who knows, maybe they get swept. It was just a painful weekend. And I saw a stat after the game last night, and it's really telling about how the Yankees fared against the Orioles. So since September 1st of 2020, I don't know why that's the cutoff date, the rest of the division, the Red Sox, Rays, and Blue Jays, have combined 53-15 against the Orioles, while in that time the Yankees have gone 16-13, which is, a shade better than 500 against a team that is mostly made up of AAA players and young prospects that they're trying to develop. You cannot go basically 500 against the Orioles and expect to do anything in this division. I don't know how many times we have to say that. It's never going to change. Whatever team, Red Sox, Rays, Blue Jays, crushes the Orioles, who knows? Maybe they'll all go 16-3 against the Orioles this year, and then they'll all be vying for first place. But it's like, here we are. I really I'm trying to be positive. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if listeners have noticed. Like, entering this season, I was trying to take a different outlook. I was like, the team is going to be different. There's different bodies there. There's different names. There's some different skill sets in that lineup. Like, let's see. But so far, it's felt the same. I'm not saying it's going to be the same all year, but so far, through the first week and a half of the season, it has felt exactly the same as it has the past 2 seasons.
I mean, to me, I don't think it feels the same just because there are different people out there. So we got different things happening. But yeah, the production has been bad early in the season, the last couple of years. This year, I'm not overreacting to this. It's April 18th. So that's what I have to look at. They need to play better. They're going to Detroit. Javi Baez is out, right? I think he just got put on the IL as well. So they have an opportunity here with Garrett Cole on the mound to start off and get on the right foot. So they need to beat Baltimore. We identified that as an early thing. Like, you look at what their even records were last year. Toronto mopped up Baltimore. That is the series that you're looking at, because if you're battling these other teams and going 500-ish with these other AL East teams, you have to take care of business with Baltimore with that many games there. Next year, it's not going to be so different. It's not going to be the same with the new schedule and how it's more evened out.
Like
so you're looking at it.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, part of me is like,
I like it.
Part of me is cool because you get less repetitive matchups, but at the same time, if now with the way the playoffs are set up, you've got buys, there kind of is more of an importance on winning your division, in which case you should play more of your own divisional teams. So I feel like this is a change that doesn't fit with the new playoff setup.
I think, what I believe they're trying to do is to get more of the players, the superstars, spread around baseball, so everybody, the fans, have more of an opportunity to see them, which I can appreciate. If they're, if we stick with the interleague matchups, then I think you should do this. If interleague's in play, then you should. But you should have more of a balanced schedule instead of one year you play one division, the other year you're mixing it in more with the other league. So I'm fine with it. I'm happy to see the Yankees play more teams more often from the other side. If we're doing it, let's do it.
You can't get rid of interleague play at this point because there's 15 in each league, so you'd have a team not playing every day, which obviously can't happen.
They're not going to get rid of interleague play. That was never really a consideration. I'm just saying, if you're going to do interleague play, this to me feels like the better way to do it.
Yeah. Well, we do have a boatload of voicemails to end the show from your guys' reactions to the weekend, which I'm super excited to listen to the rants. And, I feel like the voicemail line is at its best when the Yankees are at their worst. That just is the reality of it. So very much looking forward to that. But let's start with Thursday's game, because we last recorded before Thursday's game against Toronto. And it started off exactly how we wanted to, like split the series with Toronto and then go into Baltimore and win that series. And that just didn't happen. But coming out of that Thursday game, I was feeling good about the team, aside from the closer, who we'll talk about. But Severino looked really good, and the passion that he was showing on the mound, jawing with Manoah in the Toronto dugout. Like, I feel like we're on track for a brawl between these two teams this year, just because, I don't know, for whatever reason, the Blue Jays just have a lot of D-bag type players on the team, and now
they're young and chirpy and confident and cocky, and they have a lot of the same attributes. Different skill sets, I think, but a lot of the same attributes as Tampa. So I'd see those two teams being young, hungry, cocky, understanding that they believe it's their time. There's definitely going to be friction, and I love that.
Sure.
I think that makes the games better. That makes the division better. That should make you elevate your play if the New York Yankees, and hopefully we can see that talent more realized against those teams. So I do enjoy when the pressure's up and when the tension's high.
And Severino used that fire to pitch better on the mound. And that's what you want to see. You don't want him to get overhyped and then not be able to command and lose it. And he got fired up and he pitched really well. He struck out Vlad 3 times, which the night before Vlad was taking Yankees pitching deep 3 times. So that was a complete reversal right there. That's awesome, because Cole couldn't do that. Not saying Severino's better than Cole at this point, but Vlad crushed Cole, and then Severino came out and shoved the bat down Vlad's throat.
Look, Severino, the life on his fastball is just different. It's different than Cole's, and I love it. I love how it plays. I love how easy the velocity is, and yeah, he looks good. He looks strong. He looks confident. I love the chirping on the mound. I love that. That's we saw Luis Gil last year when he first came up and gave me that like a similar vibe when he was just barking at things with a lot of confidence. It looked like early Severino. So if we can get that Severino back, he's talked a whole bunch about, we mentioned this in the last show, but he's talked a whole bunch about his conditioning, and I think that what that does is it leads to confidence with his mechanics and things like that, because he believes that his body's ready for, full workload. So we'll see how the season goes on and how the Yankees manage what he does, but early signs on him are very promising.
And the bottom of the lineup finally produced in this game. Both IKF and
right on schedule as we were talking about.
And Trevino had a few hits and really was the catalyst for the Yankees scoring runs, and it brought out the Trevino truthers. So I have learned, because it was the Austin Romanites, and then we didn't really come up with a name for Higgy. I guess the I don't know. You got something?
It doesn't really exist because there are two backup catchers.
The Higgy Huggers. The Higgy Huggers when
the Higgy Huggers.
The Higgy Huggers when Gary was here the last couple of years, and now we've got the Trevino Truthers. And I just think that no matter who the quote unquote backup catcher is, that's who Yankees fans want playing.
Well, the profile of these two guys is pretty similar in the sense that they're both defensive catchers. Trevino actually is, in statistically a better receiver of the ball, even though Higgy's right there, framer of the ball as well. The offense, you get a very different type of offense. I mean, Higgy, I know, had a base hit the other day, but he's usually home run or nothing.
He's got 3 hits this year. Higgy has 3 hits this year.
Yeah, one of them are singles. That's progress. So and Trevino's just like, hitting the ball through the infield and you're on, which is fine. Look, we got 2 guys that can control the pitching staff, and I think if they do that well, then that will be a success. I understand that they cannot hit, close to 0 or around 100, but the defense is the focus. The defense is absolutely the focus.
The Yankees don't owe Higgy anything, I guess, other than having him catch Cole, because that is what Cole wants. So in the other games, I'm not saying play Trevino the rest of the time, but why can't Trevino get an extra game a week than he normally would? Play the guy that is playing better right now. That's what they need to do with these 2 catchers.
I think that's going to happen more. I really do. And I don't know necessarily if Cole, is so dependent on Higgy, or was it more so I'm dependent on Higgy over Sanchez was more so the narrative, because Trevino is a damn good receiver of the ball.
That's a good point. And if Trevino catches Cole this year, we'll see. Was it just, I really like Higgy, or I really hate Gary? I think Cole is a psychopath who needs he needs, unfortunately, Cole's one of these guys that kind of needs everything right to be at his best, which I don't love out of an ace.
I hate that.
Right? Like, I can't have a 4-minute delay when Billy Crystal's out there throwing a ceremonial first pitch.
Piss off, bro. Like, just pitch.
So I'm going to give up a bomb to Devers in the first inning on opening day. Like, no, don't let that bother you. But that gets to Cole, which sucks. That sucks that's how Cole's mentality is. But he's one of these guys that when everything's right, he's at his best. So I think they have to, for at least the near term, give him everything he wants so he can hopefully be at his best.
I really do believe, though, it was an anti Gary Sanchez movement with him, just because he wasn't getting the same level of commitment that he needed, whatever that is, whatever that bar is, he just wasn't getting it. But Trevino, the way that everybody talks about him, the way that he was even, he comes in and just everything that he says is like pitchers first. Like that's his mantra. So I would have a very difficult time saying that Cole would demand Higgy over a guy that is so pitcher friendly. And I think it's just going to take time for them to get a little bit more of a rapport, but I wouldn't be surprised if he caught a handful of games.
Well, maybe Benny Biceps Rortvert won't have a job whenever he comes off the IL. Maybe Trevino is going to Wally Pip Rortvert, and we're never Rortvert.
You can't Wally Pip someone that was never there.
That's true, but we might never see Rortvert. I want to see Rortvert.
We might never see.
I want to see Rortvert.
Rortvert, isn't that like the name of the Jetsons dog?
I want to see him just, and I hope. Do you know how back in the movie 61? Remember we covered it on this pod many years ago. But you remember how like Maris had like the really short sleeves so you could see his arms. Yeah. That's what I want Rortvert to wear. Just let me see those biceps glistening in the August sun.
But they were loose.
Huh?
They were loose,
but they were high
like
cut.
A sleeveless shirt.
They were high cut. And that's what Rortvert needs. He can't have those low because that's going to hide the biceps. And you're not going to be intimidating if you can't see the biceps.
It's also the angled cut. It's got like
cut.
an angled cut so that the bicep flexes through the bottom of it, which is shorter and closer.
And then like 10 minutes before first pitch, just bust out some curls, get that pump going, get those veins going. Maybe have some beet juice before the game because beet juice is good for vascularity. Little tip out there. Beet juice, good for vascularity. So
he already knows.
If you're going to the beach this summer, maybe drink some beet juice.
Beet juice. You're gonna shit your pants, but you'll have good vascularity.
Tastes like ass, but you're gonna look good
while shitting your pants.
Well, that's what the ocean's for.
Right. That's when you get eaten by a shark.
I have a quick tangent. I have a friend who was so hungover one morning he just went out into the ocean and just let it out. Let the waves take it away.
It's the closest place. It's nature.
The world's largest toilet. And who's pitching like a toilet is Aroldis Chapman. How about that segue? Chapman, man, he goes through this. Usually it's like June when he starts going through this, where all of a sudden he just looks like the worst relief pitcher in baseball, can't find the plate with his fastball. And then when he can't find the plate with his fastball, we all know the slider's coming and it's either going to be a ball or it's going to be hit. Like those are the two options. And it was a complete mess on Thursday, almost blew the game, walked the bases loaded, and then the Swiss Army knife had to come in and shut the door. Michael King with the save.
He's pitching great.
Pitching great. So right now that prediction's looking pretty good for me, and I love to see it. But Chapman, as good as King is pitching,
April 18th.
Chapman has been terrible, and it's really the fastball, which has been in decline. We knew it was going to be in decline. Like he's not throwing 105 anymore. But it's kind of concerning that his average velocity this year is 97.1, which is the lowest of his career. And he was actually clocked even lower than that in his last outing. And even worse,
he was around 95. He was hovering around 95.
Even worse than that, he can't locate it. And so,
no, that's the problem. That's the biggest
problem. And when he came in after Schmidt to try and get out of Schmidt's mess, which I don't even necessarily blame Chapman. Like we knew once he comes in with the bases loaded, like. What are you expecting to happen? It's a Hail Mary.
I mean, first at bat looked good. Good. Second at bat,
it's a Hail Mary that Chapman's going to get out of that. I'm not even saying there was a better option because it was the 11th inning and the bullpen is kind of toast already. They've already burned through a lot of their options. The Yankees can't score. You got Rizzo running into ground balls that are right in front of him. I want to talk about that in a second. But Chapman decides to throw a 3-2 slider. And it was a ball. It was high. He was bitching. The Yankees were bitching that it was a strike. But no, that's a ball. And
it was a ball. The ball was up. There's no doubt the ball was up.
And it was a terrible pitch, and you knew it was coming. You knew he wasn't going to be able to throw a fastball. It's like you got Kay and Mabin on the broadcast being like, well, he's got to throw his fastball. You got to get beat with your best pitch. It's not his best pitch right now. So he threw the slider, and it wasn't even close. And that's how they lost the game. And it was that's one of those nights that you lose to Baltimore after some positivity you're taking out of your homestand by splitting the series against Toronto, and you score one run in 11 innings against AAA Baltimore pitching, and you're like, you're pulling your hair out. It's almost midnight on Friday night. I'm freaking exhausted, and I gotta watch Chapman walk in the winning run.
Yeah, no, it's I think I had I said early September, late August as the you gotta bump transfer.
That up.
I look. I think he's gonna be. He'll get back into a groove. But again, if this happens again, if it's happening this early in the season, because remember last year he was lights out early on.
He didn't allow a run until like the middle of May last year.
Right. So if he's having early struggles, then he's gonna have to turn that back up and have a good rest of the season. It's just the leash is gonna be shorter if he's showing struggles early on. So, and I know Loaizaga didn't look great. He couldn't locate his fastball over the weekend either, and he was used a good amount. A lot of
everyone's been used. So there's not been one starting pitcher that's gone deep into the game. I understand they're bringing them along slowly because of the short spring training, but the residual effects of that is everyone in the bullpen is fried, and it's April 18th.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be definitely a storyline as the season goes, knowing what Chapman's contract situation is and who's there behind him with the prospects of closing. So I think this is going to be probably earlier than, even trade deadline. It's going to be a lot of noise if he doesn't start pitching really well.
I woke up on Saturday morning, and this doesn't happen to me often anymore because, got a family, got other shit going on in my brain. Legitimately, the first thing I thought of Saturday morning was how bad of a base running play Anthony Rizzo made in the 11th inning, where he's the phantom runner, and Stanton hits a chopper to shortstop, which is in front of him, and he just runs into the ball. It's like it was a Anthony Rizzo, was a heat-seeking missile to the ball. Didn't look where it was hit, just heard the crack of the bat. I'm taking off for third. I feel bad crushing Rizzo because he's been really, really good defensively, saved a ton of throwing errors.
Not there for his base running.
Not there for his base running, but you can't make stupid base running plays. If you're not going to be a good base runner, just don't be a bad base runner.
But his footwork.
Great footwork at first base. Thanks, Cam Maben.
And approach up the middle. Just an up the middle approach, which I do love. And I'm glad. Maybe he's just like saying it 1,000 times so that the guys can hear him. Yeah. And then when the ball finally is hit up the middle,
well, did the Yes Network show? I was in and out of Sunday's game.
I was driving.
I know you were driving. I definitely watched all day on Friday and Saturday. I can't remember. Did the Yes Network show the Baltimore left field wall and the difference in?
Yes,
they did show that. Okay, good. Because I was worried.
They put up a graphic also.
Got it.
It was probably more than 10 to 15 seconds I was watching. But
you're like, they put it up in the second inning on Saturday. They put it up in the first inning on Friday.
There was definitely a graphic that I saw that showed the significant difference, and it's
a huge difference.
It's a huge difference, and they were talking about why they did it, and with the way that their minor league system is, they believe that they're going to have to go after pitching in free agency, so they're trying to make the park more appealing to free agent pitchers. That was the in all seriousness, so the nerds made that decision.
I tweeted this out on Friday. In all seriousness, I think it's cool that they're willing to do that because there were so many joke home runs to left field at Camden Yards. Similarly, how there's joke home runs to right field at Yankee Stadium. Part of me wishes the Yankees would align the dimensions of the current Yankee Stadium to the old Yankee Stadium. They say it's the same, but it is not. Just Google this. There's diagrams online showing the difference in dimensions. So the 385 marker in right center field is in a different spot than where it is at the old Yankee Stadium. At the old Yankee Stadium, it was 385 to direct what you would consider right center field, kind of where the old auxiliary scoreboard was, and now it's just the new digital display. That used to be 385 in the old stadium. Now 385 is out in like where the bullpen is. So yes, the numbers on the wall are the same, but the path in which the wall gets to 385 is like it's
more gradual.
It's a straight line in the new stadium, makes that power alley like 10 feet shorter than what it was in the old stadium. And what you get from 10 feet is a bunch of cheap ass home runs. And it sucks. It honestly sucks on both sides. It's like a guy hits a ball off the end of the bat and it lands in the first row. When your team gets it, you're like, great, they scored some runs, but also then you got to deal with a bunch of assholes on Twitter be like, that wouldn't be a home run in any other stadium. And it's like, is that how we really want home runs? Now home runs are so easy to hit anyway. Like, I just wish it was the old stadium dimensions. Honestly, just take out 3 rows of seats and make it the old stadium.
And, I mean, I don't know how many home runs you get rid of that, but I don't think that makes. I think more so when you're looking at these two stadiums. Also, though, is the wind tunnel there that goes out to right field in both. Even in Camden, the ball travels
the open air
right
concourse
very well.
Yeah, like the old Yankee Stadium was like 15 feet of cement, like surrounding the thing.
You go up there. You
go into the tunnels at the old Yankee Stadium. 0% daylight.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. That was like my first memory of Major League Baseball. When you come out of that tunnel, it's like you're in a subway, and then all of a sudden there's green grass in the middle of the Bronx. It's amazing.
It still smelled like 1970s cigarettes and piss in those tunnels,
which I appreciate.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
What the frick were we talking about?
The power rallies, the fact that there's home runs not being hit as much at Camden. No, but either way, there's a narrative going that this is the same team, similar struggles. Boone's talking on press conferences and after the game saying that very confident the team's going to come around. And look, as much as we don't listen to Booneisms at this point, if he said that or not, I still also believe this. I think LeMahieu is back, hitting the ball, spraying it all over the place. That changes the dynamic of the lineup when he's in the middle of it. I'm still confident that you're going to get production at the bottom from IKF, base hits, more contact. He started to hit the ball better in that last, even the
quickly,
the
can I stop you there on IKF? So
against Toronto,
Thursday's game, he had a line drive and he actually hit the ball twice.
Yeah. The bat broke and then it hit.
So
again, it
I think if he finishes at 199 hits, you can count it.
Oh, because did they not count that as a hit?
It was a hit, yeah, but it should be
so what are
two
you talking
hits.
about?
He hit the ball twice.
Oh, it should be two hits. I see what you're saying. Got you. That was a bad joke, but yeah, no, I think he's going to be.
I was legitimately sitting on that since it happened.
Jesus Christ, it's terrible.
4 days I've been sitting on that one.
And how long Hicks in the leadoff spot?
Yeah.
Seeing that.
Whatever. Oh, I think it's gonna
happen
Hicks fucking gets on base, first and second. He's like, I'm the leadoff hitter now. I got to take off for third. Gets picked off. More stupid base running. You're not going to be a good base running team, Yankees. Just don't be a bad base running team. They led the league in outs at the plate and outs at third base last year. You cannot score runs. You can't hit with runners in scoring position. Stop making outs on the base paths. Stop it.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, the outs on the base paths are infuriating.
It's just
but again, here we go.
Baseball.
I'm going early season, dumb mental mistakes.
One of the things, if you remember, we had New Year's resolutions for this team. One of the things we said, don't be a stupid baseball team in April. Just don't come out looking like dog crap. And so far, they've come out looking like dog crap. I'm not expecting everyone to be hitting 400.
If they go 500 in April, or if they go 500 in April, or a couple games above 500, would you be okay with that?
I would be okay with that, but it's also how you get to that point, okay? They've looked terrible at the plate, horrible situational hitting, bad base running, as I've just outlined. Like, these are bad mental mistakes. There's no excuse when you're a professional baseball player to run into a ball hit in front of you or to try and steal third when you're not fast, Hicks. You're not a base stealer. Why are you trying to steal third? It's first and second, nobody out in the first inning. You've got the middle of your lineup up. Why are you trying to steal third? Like, I would love an answer to that because it was a moronic play. So if you go 500 and you're just like getting into the groove of things and you're starting to come around, weather's heating up, all the baseball cliches you want to say, fine. But if you go 500 and you're booting the ball around and you're making outs on the base paths, no, that's not okay. That's unacceptable.
Yankees have a stretch coming up that
Easy.
Early on, you're looking at these as, must-win
Detroit,
pivotal games
Cleveland,
of the season.
Kansas City, all of these teams come out. You have to win all of those series. You had to win the Baltimore series and you didn't. But you've got those three teams, those bottom feeder teams in the AL Central. You can't lose against those teams.
It's Detroit, Cleveland, then back home at Baltimore, then KC on
and then
the
they
road,
go to Toronto after that.
Into Toronto.
So those four series that you just mentioned, you've got to win all of those series.
And they play Baltimore a lot early in the season. A lot.
So you've got so say it again. You've got Detroit, then Cleveland.
Detroit, Cleveland, another off day. So 2 off days in the next 7 days. Baltimore, Kansas City.
You've got to go 2 out of 3 minimum against all those teams. There's no excuse.
Yeah, I agree. 2 out of 3. That's it. You got to win all 3 of those series. Yeah. Probably sweep one of them.
Fine, maybe sweep one of them. But if you're winning series, you're gonna be near the top of your division. And you have.
Oh, by the way, Jose Ramirez, best player in baseball. Right?
Well, I mean, yeah. So you're telling me that
his contract is crazy.
So
when you look at his contract,
so cheap
compared to what they offered Judge. Even I'm like, that's a beautiful contract for the most dynamic player in baseball.
Well, I don't know if he's the most dynamic player in baseball.
And shout out to Logan, because this is the first year that I played fantasy baseball in like 10 years. Highest points in the league here, and beat Logan in week 1 with Jose Ramirez.
Yeah. No.
Yes, I'm a man of my word. I think he's one of the best players in baseball.
He is,
if not top 3.
He is.
And I drafted him, and he is the highest scoring player in fantasy baseball right now. So yes,
it's an amazing contract that Cleveland got him to sign. I mean, clearly he just is comfortable in Cleveland and wants to stay, and that's cool. When you see a guy take a hometown discount, that I legitimately think that is cool because it's so rare. 99 out of 100 players want to get the most money, and I also don't blame them for that. But
why'd you say 99?
I actually didn't mean to do that, but that's pretty good. But yeah, that Jose Ramirez contract is bad news for Aaron Judge because the Yankees are like, hey, this guy over here who's statistically better than you, just signed for this. So talking about
doesn't work
precedent.
that way though.
No,
they just talk about the biggest contract, not the one that's snuck under the rug.
Anything else from the weekend you want to talk about before? Oh, you mentioned Boone's comments. He said, I'm confident that this offense will be what we should be. Fine, that's a Booneism. I don't care about the Booneisms anymore. The thing that I have a problem with there is that this offense hasn't been what it, quote, should be since 2019. So what if what we're seeing is what they actually are?
Well, it's a different makeup. Again, it's a different makeup. I think that what I'm seeing early in the season is that if we're cycling these guys through the lineup and the field, you got to cycle out one of these high strikeout guys and keep DJ LeMahieu in the lineup every day. He's got to be in the lineup every day and break up that order. Also, another weird decision. It didn't really affect much because the runs didn't score, but they pulled IKF for I think it was Rizzo, pinch hitter on Sunday. And this is a 0-0 game, I think the 8th inning, and slid Glaber over to short. So you got worse defensively. You took IKF, who is a contact guy. I understand he's struggling, but you're looking for the home run, I guess, just from Rizzo. I don't like it. I don't like the move that they pinch it for Gallo.
You're desperate for offense. They're trying to do anything they can. They hadn't scored, so I don't necessarily.
So I would have definitely, and again, this is so early in the season to question like in-game moves, but it's one of these things that just doesn't compute when I'm looking at the manager and saying like, I don't think you understand what's happening here. This is a 0-0 game. You have one of your better contact hitters up. Understand that he's been struggling a little bit, but he's actually been hitting the ball over the last 3 games better than he had been. Keep him in the game. You were going to pinch hit for the catcher anyway with Gallo. Instead of doing that, hit IKF, pinch hit with Rizzo, and you keep your defense out there. And in fact, then you can, when Glaber's back around, you pinch hit for him, and now your defense is even better because you can slide over LeMahieu to somewhere else.
Yeah, because it's not like Glaber has been tearing the cover off the ball. He's been lost at the plate too. So if you lose his bat out of the lineup, that is not a big deal. No, I see both sides.
He's been bad offensively.
He has. I see both sides of it, but it's hard to crush Boone for his decisions when the team scored 0 runs.
The bigger problem I have is that you also pinch hit Gallo in that spot, which like you're literally rolling the dice, like maybe 1 out of 10 here that this dude's gonna do something, and it's just not. It's just
we have a mailbag about Gallo in a few minutes, but yeah, I mean he's looked lost. Glaber's looked terrible. He struck out on like changeups. There was like back-to-back changeups. It wasn't even close yesterday. It's like painful.
I mean, he's bunting to try to get a better feel for the ball, and like I give him credit for, laying down it was a bad bunt, but he moved the runner. But at least he's doing something there productive. That to me, if you're a player that's struggling, like have a productive at bat. If you're not able to do the things you want to do offensively, have a productive at bat in some capacity.
Donaldson finally hit a home run. It was a big home run on Saturday after the rain delay, and the Yankees had just had a Rizzo thrown out at the plate on trying to score from first on Stanton's double again. Like, I understand they're trying to push the envelope because they're not scoring runs, but I guess I blame the third base coach on that for sending him. But it was a bang play, so they had to make a perfect throw, and they did. But
I don't mind when anytime there's a play like that, whether you're out or safe. Like I like the call if it's going to be. Yeah. Usually it's.
But it didn't matter because Donaldson followed up with the 2-run shot. But it could have mattered greatly because it was a tie game, or once the call was reversed, it was a tie game, and so if Donaldson doesn't hit that home run, who the hell knows what happens?
Donaldson made a good play in the field on Sunday, and LeCastro made a damn nice catch. One of the best catches you'll see. Up. Full stretch, wind blowing towards right field. Like, he covered a shit ton of ground. And I mean, when you watch the replay of that, it caught the very edge of the leather and rolled back in. It was pretty awesome.
It was clear that they needed another position player on the bench, just because there had been a lot of pinch hitting opportunities. They've already played a few extra inning games. And when it was just a 3-man bench, one of the guys being your backup catcher, that bench was so thin. And so they really did need, I think, the extra bench player.
I know a lot of people were on Cam Maben this weekend for his color commentary and just not being very good. First of all, I think the Yes Network put him in a bad position by being the number 2 guy, a color commentary for an entire series this early. He's not ready for it. He's just not. But what I do like about him is that he brings the individual, and this is the same thing I like about Harold Reynolds, which you don't like Harold Reynolds. I do. I like the in-game stuff.
Harold Reynolds in 10 years.
But I like the way that they talk about the game as a player, and you see the little nuances of the things. Like Cam Maben was talking about conditioning his glove in the leather and using 2 hands or 2 fingers or 3 fingers in there. Like the little nuances like that, I appreciate. Those are the things that you can't get a lot of time from guys who are booth guys. But he should be a number 3 guy. He's not ready for a number 2 color commentary for a full series on the road with a professional like Michael Kay. It's not a good dynamic.
Yeah, I don't necessarily even blame Maben. It was a bad dynamic between...
No, he's inexperienced. He needs more reps.
It was a bad dynamic between him and Kay. It was also 3 boring games. Like, that does play a factor. You're reaching for things when the Yankees are just so lifeless. You're reaching for things to talk about. And I just think, like, you made a good point, actually, before we recorded. Like, once Ruocco is starting to do the play-by-play again, I could see him working really well with Ruocco, him and Maben. And maybe you do add a 3rd guy to that booth. I understand Cone is doing Sunday Night Baseball now, so I think he's going to have some other commitments going on, and Paul O'Neill's still in his basement, so who the hell knows what's going on there. Although Kay did do the broadcast yesterday, and then he went up to do the K-Rod cast or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know why the Yes Network feels the need to just give every former Yankee a job. I think you got to be a little bit more selective, but hey. That's what they're doing.
But just allow them to acclimate better instead of just throwing them into the booth to right. Carry half of a conversation.
What did he get, like 3 spring training games? That was his warm-ups. Yeah. 3 spring training games. Okay, let's look ahead to the Detroit series, which we already said win 2 out of 3, or else it's a complete failure. We're gonna look ahead and look what game we want to bet on. Of course, we've been doing this last week. We told you to bet on the Nasty Nestor game, and if you did, you won some money. That was one of the only games they won last week, so we nailed that one. We've been using the WinBet app to check out all the odds. You can sign up today and receive a special offer. You can bet $10, win $200. Download the WinBet app or visit wynnbet.com to start winning and use code BLUEWIRE when you do so. I mean, I think you got to bet the house on Garrett Cole on Tuesday just because it's Garrett Cole against Tyler Alexander, and coming off a series in which he lost 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. That is an ace, needs to be the stopper, needs to put his foot down kind of game. And so even ignoring matchups, because there are a couple guys on the Detroit lineup, Grossman, Candelario, and Barnhart, who all have decent numbers against Cole. Like, you're Garrett Cole. This is now your 3rd start of the year. You need to shut the Tigers down completely.
Yeah, if you're looking at the games this weekend or this week, Garrett Cole is definitely the guy going up against Tyler Alexander, starting the series off. Got to start it off correctly. The other game would be Severino and Eduardo Rodriguez, but honestly, Eduardo Rodriguez, when he was with the Red Sox, like he was good against the Yankees. It felt like I know there's some numbers that individual players have are decent against him, but when you look at the impact guys, Judge, Donaldson, Stanton, all struggle against him, and that's a problem. Yep. I'm not so much worried about the great numbers that Marwin Gonzalez or even Joey Gallo under very small amount. DJ LeMahieu has good numbers against everybody, so I'm definitely looking at Garrett Cole coming out there, and he needs to make it a statement. Hope it's not too cold for him. Hope he doesn't have any. Hope everything goes right and everything's smooth, and his limousine picks him up at the right time and gives him the water that he wants and the jelly beans and whatever the things that he needs at Detroit to make it a good day. Hope he has a good day and walks out there and just shoves the bats down the Detroit Tigers' throats, because that's what he needs to do. He needs to do it, and that's the game for sure.
Right, like hopefully that the Tigers don't play an especially long national anthem, or else we're gonna have. Although I guess
I would do that,
but it's a road game.
I'm delaying.
But it's a road game, so he's gonna be in the dugout anyway to start. But yeah. Like if it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be like
a gate malfunction, something.
It's supposed to be a 6:35 or a 6:40 first pitch. Like, oh, weird. We got to start the game at 6:47. Sorry, Garrett.
I'm doing some kind of an equipment malfunction or a field malfunction in between the first inning, so that when he goes out there and throws his warm-up pitches, they got to take like an extra 5 minutes to like smooth something out, or whatever it, like they can't get the gate locked or something stupid like that. If I'm Detroit, I'm definitely doing that. Like 1,000%, I like in fact would do that.
Yeah, and I
would absolutely try to mess.
I know the Tigers spent a boatload of money in the offseason for some odd reason. Eduardo Rodriguez, like you said, Javi Baez, but Baez was just placed on the 10-day IL. So both of these matchups, especially with the way Sevy pitched in his last outing, Cole and Severino, I think are the two games that you have to absolutely win, and the two games that I feel decent about, because the Yankees aren't scoring runs, but at least who they have on the mound, I feel good about those games. So if you want to throw some cash on those games, again, download the WinBet app and use code BLUEWIRE when you sign up. All right, let's get to some mailbags. Bringing mailbags back. Yep.
Andrew, real quick before we get to the mailbags, one thing we didn't mention that needs to be mentioned, the game that we did talk about with Nestor Cortes, but Nestor Cortes over the weekend was phenomenal. Had the immaculate inning. I think Michael King was the last guy to have, or was it Chad Green? It was one of the two of those guys. But immaculate inning, 12 strikeouts, 5 innings. He was not very many people have done that. He looked awesome. He is so refreshing to watch. He's one of these guys. I've mentioned this on the pod before. One of my favorite guys to ever watch was El Duque. And for a lot of the same reasons. El Duque, you didn't know what angle he was coming. He was a big game pitcher. It didn't matter what the conditions were on a given day. He adjusted to them. Like, he lived for those moments. Nestor Cortes, I'm not comparing him to El Duque in the sense that of the same caliber of pitcher, but what he does is he gives you the kitchen sink, and he thrives doing that. And I love watching it. It's so much fun to watch. When you get a guy like that who is keeping the offense off balance, it's just, you see how effective it is. And you hope that some of these bigger guys can work that into their repertoire a little bit. But fun to watch nasty Nestor Cortes, 12 Ks, awesome.
And the advanced metrics back it up. I'm looking at his StatCast page right now, and he's got red all over, which is good because it means he's in the top percentiles for average exit velocity, hard hit percentage, expected weighted on base average, expected batting average. That means the results on the field actually line up to what the advanced metrics say. You're talking about eye test versus nerd test. In this case, they would match up for Cortes. And I think a reason he's having so much success is because there's fewer and fewer pitchers like him in the league now.
Yeah.
Everyone comes up through the minors and they're training and coached to throw 98 miles an hour for 80 pitches and then get the hell out of there. And so when that happens, like, obviously that you're going to be successful, your stuff is going to be elite, but that's what the league is used to seeing. And Nestor has the advantage of being a lefty, which I think is also good because there's just fewer lefties in the league. And like you said, he mixes and matches. He throws different types of pitches. He's not a hard thrower. It's a lot of off-speed stuff he can locate. And hitters are just not used to seeing that. Like, there used to be dozens of those guys in the league through the 90s and the early 2000s, and they had success in the league. But now, whenever they pop up, they can have even more success because there's not a lot of competition for pitchers like that.
Well, Kay made a good point about that too. Is that, how many of these scouts that are down in the minors that are covering their ass and not giving the plus grades to the guys that have to work harder like that, but are, because there are so many more opportunities to give guys plus grades who are throwing 99, miles per hour. The guys that are throwing 95 and mixing and matching, who are having success in the minor leagues, is it the inferior competition with the minor league hitters? Or is it this guy can actually pitch no matter who he's going up against? So And 92 to 95 for Nestor Cortes plays a hell of a lot harder because of the way that he pitches. It sneaks up on you, and the velocity plays faster because of the way that he mixes and matches his pitches.
Did he even reach 95? I mean, I'm trying to find his average velocity. Right now.
He's got movement on that fastball too. So, and again, like when you're mixing all those different arm angles with the different
velocity
speeds,
is 90.6.
Well, there you go. But mixing and matching, what did he top out? I thought I saw 95.
I mean, StatCast just gives me the average, but I mean, if his average is 90, I don't feel like he's topping out at 95. But who knows? Maybe it was a hot.
Well, he throws so many different pitches that he can also throw his fastball at different speeds.
The point is, he doesn't have to throw 95 plus to have success.
Right, exactly.
And I do think that you're right. I think scouts and front offices, they don't want to see those guys come through the minors anymore, because the large portion of guys having success in the league are not those guys. But it's also maybe they're not getting
chicken
chances.
Or the egg here.
No,
chicken or the egg. There's a lot more walks, a lot more home runs, a lot more fastballs, a lot more injuries.
A big question coming out of last year was, is Nestor Cortes for real? Right? Like, and I think that was a fair question, and so far he's been for real, and that's awesome. It's awesome to see.
I mean, dating back to last year, looking at his numbers, they're very good. He's there. So anybody who's talking about what the Yankees didn't do on the starting pitching side, they were clearly looking at Nestor Cortes as the back of that rotation and feeling very good about it. And right now I feel great about it too.
So I actually wanted to read a mailbag that we got, and we already talked about this with the dimensions of Yankee Stadium and how Baltimore changed theirs. But this one is from Greg, and he said, they said on the Sunday broadcast that Yankee Stadium is a home run haven, but the worst park in the majors for doubles and triples. If true, this explains why I have found this team so frustrating to watch in recent years. I would much rather see guys tearing around bases than praying that every fly ball makes the seats. Sounds like a design flaw. Is there anything they can do to fix this? Put the monuments back on the field. That'd be funny. But
throw some obstacles on the playing.
So I mean, part of it is the dimensions of the field. Part of it is the baseball themselves, and a big part of it is the players that they have.
Yeah, well, I mean, the dimension, the power alley to right field, as you mentioned, the ball is going out more than it was in the past, where you see more balls stay in the park and guys running around the bases. So yeah, it does fly out more, but that's just the way that you go around, and you have different dimensions for every park. Even left field I'm very surprised, or I'm interested to see what the stat difference is, home runs in Baltimore, and how much of it is if you just get the ball in the air that it's going out. How many of those home runs are actually scraping the wall?
I talked to Eric in the preseason preview of the Orioles, and I forget the exact number that he said, but like they analyzed how many fewer home runs it would have been over the past like 2 seasons, and it was significantly fewer home runs.
At the end of the day, the Yankees aren't changing the dimensions of the field.
I know. No, but my point is that the players in the lineup are not double and triple players. They're hit the ball out of the park players. So that's another big reason why Yankee Stadium has been a park that has had fewer doubles and triples, because the team that plays there at home doesn't hit a lot of doubles and triples.
Right. The park actually plays to Aaron Judge so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the fly balls that are not going out in a lot of other parks are home runs to right field
specifically.
For
Left field
so when he goes and plays,
left field is not small. Right down the line in Yankee Stadium in left field is short, but it goes out pretty quickly, and then Death Valley is still legitimately Death Valley at the new Yankee Stadium.
But Aaron Judge hits the ball 200 miles per hour. The ball's going out if he gets it up in the air at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, left field isn't a problem for him. But he is a player that hits a lot of fly balls to right field, and does get a decent amount of home runs to that short porch in right field, the right center field area that might have been warning track flyouts at the old Yankee Stadium. Because it's not like he's hitting laser beam line drives out there. He's hitting high fly balls. So those are likely outs.
It plays well for him.
It does.
For sure.
So you're saying $300 million?
Him and Pinstripes
That's what
is a
you're
good
saying?
thing.
$300 million?
I mean, that's what he's asking for. So
the next one,
but Jose Ramirez,
is from @DomK84 on Twitter. He says, not a Joey Gallo hater, but his quote expected average is 310, and the guy is hitting 180. how are we calculating expected average when they shift on him? What are the nerds, quote, expecting to happen? And it was a very funny tweet. And this was...
I love that quote. What are the nerds expecting to happen? That's a great quote.
I don't remember exactly when he tweeted this to us, but it was like probably 3 or 4 days ago. And at the time, he was right. Joey Gallo's expected batting average and expected stats were all very high. And he was, as the nerds would say, getting unlucky. The expected batting average has plummeted since, and he is now in the bottom 35th percentile in the league in expected batting average because when it's April and you only have 20 plate appearances, 3 or 4 plate appearances can change things drastically. However, he is still hitting the ball hard, which is encouraging. 97th
when he makes contact.
97th percentile for max exit velocity, and 78th percentile for expected weighted on base average, 85th for expected slugging percentage, 95th for barrel percentage. But yeah, a ton of blue in the whiff percentage, chase rate, strikeout percentage, and those sorts of things. Oddly enough, I know this is early defensive metrics. He's been a bad defender so far, but I'm going to hold judgment on that.
Defensive metrics are trash anyway.
But can I just quickly answer Dom's question? So if you go to the MLB StatCast glossary, it says each batted ball is assigned an expected batting average based on how often comparable balls in terms of exit velocity, launch angle, and certain other types of factors are calculated, have become hits in the StatCast era, dating back to 2015. So it does not directly take into account the shift, but it should indirectly take into account the shift because presumably those other comparable balls are shifted on. Maybe not all the time, but in the history of StatCast dating back to 2015, there's been plenty of shifts. So maybe a flaw in the advanced metrics is, okay, for the average left-handed hitter, this is what it says, but Joey Gallo is not your average left-handed hitter. So maybe what's his expected average on those balls?
Can we divide that up a little bit and give me a different bucket here for expected average, please? Can I have a bucket that only includes guys who are shifted on, 50 to 60% of the time? Whatever that would be the next wave.
That would definitely be the next wave of this. Absolutely.
Yeah, because that will actually tell me a little bit more about someone like Joey Gallo. Because if I have DJ LeMahieu in that same pool and Joey Gallo, vastly different players, vastly different results, vastly different defensive lineups as well. I mean, hopefully next year this is all a moot point and there's no shifting, and then we actually have some much better true numbers. But I don't know, when you lump it in there, I'm looking at expected batting average from Joey Gallo. Just get off my lawn. Get off my lawn with some of these stupid numbers, because Joey Gallo, again, man, I've said this since he was with Texas. I don't like him as an offensive player. I don't want that guy in my lineup. It doesn't do enough for me to get excited. It doesn't do enough for me to get the team going and affect the dynamic of the lineup. There's just too much of a zero with him. Too many times do I see a zero with him, and zero productive at bats. I understand he walks. I get it. I know that, and I know he hits the ball hard when he makes contact. Great, but there's just too many at bats that are not productive at all and do nothing for the team.
And I, of course, acknowledge that in my preseason prediction when I said he's going to win the Yankees nerd department Triple Crown. I was hoping the rest of the lineup, there was enough diversity in it where if you have one Joey Gallo, it's okay. When you have 5 Joey Gallo type players, it's certainly not okay. But Gleyber Torres is not hitting, and he's been hitting right after Gallo in a lot of lineups. Obviously, IKF has been struggling, and he's supposed to be one of your contact guys. They've gotten basically no production out of the catching spot. Donaldson, aside from his home run, has done nothing. And Judge, Stanton have been fine. They haven't been great yet, but I expect them to be great at some point. Really, your offense, if you want to call it an offense, has been carried by Rizzo and DJ. Okay? That's been what's carrying your offense so far, and it's not been much of an offense to speak of.
Another statistic that I would like to see, if we're getting deeper into advanced metrics, are batters that lead I want a leaderboard of unproductive at-bats. How about that? Give me the amount of unproductive at bats that qualifies as a strikeout or not moving a runner over when you have the opportunity to do that. Give me that. I want to know who leads the league in shitty at bats. That's a stat I would love to see.
Well, actually, I mean,
I bet he's up there.
You could look at win probability added as a metric, and for every play that happens, you impact the outcome of the game. So if you get a single in the first inning, your win probability
You're getting too granular though.
It's going to be super
with the
small.
amount of things that are involved.
But if you get a single with 2 on in the 9th inning, your win probability is much higher, right? So like we were looking at that, and actually DJ's home run on opening day was the most impactful play of the day, and it tied the game, and it was like the 6th inning, and I was like, wow, that actually impacted the outcome of the game more than Donaldson's game-winning hit. And you'd be like, how is that possible? Because Donaldson's hit legitimately won, but it's because of the things that all of the possible outcomes after DJ's hit is why. But the negative at bats that Gallo has and some other players have had would definitely be something good to look at, because you're right.
Let's highlight that. Let's highlight the negative at bats so that we can really show what these are. Let's just compare everybody. We'll call it the Adam Dunn. The Adam Dunn stat, the Dunn X Dunn.
I mean, if Joey Gallo can reach Adam Dunn numbers this year, I think we'd all be happy. We all shit all over Adam Dunn, right?
Because he was the first.
I know, but like
Mendoza line.
I'm good. Like, what do you think his career batting average was?
209.
237.
Okay.
Joey Gallo, if he hits 237 this year.
Steve Balboni.
If Joey Gallo hits 237 this year, I'll eat my hat. Oh.
Yeah.
He's not sniffing 237.
Later in Dunn's career, it was
worse later in Dunn's career, but that doesn't support my point.
He's a late career Adam Dunn in his prime.
All right. I think we've had some fun at the expense of the Yankees on this episode. Anything else you'd like to say? And I'm very much looking forward to these voicemails.
Voicemails are good. 646-480-0342. Put it in your phone. If something exciting happens, if something negative happens, give it a call. If you just want to say something about the New York Yankees that's on your mind, you're watching the game alone and you need someone to talk to,
Scott might
hit
pick
the voicemail
up.
line. I might pick up.
If you call it
British lady picks up.
like 1:30 in the morning,
Scott
there's like a 5% chance Scott will pick up.
But yeah, look, the big stretch coming up here, early April big stretch. So, there's a qualifier there. But we want to see this team getting out of the gate much better, and they have an opportunity against inferior talent coming up right now, starting in Detroit. So Garrett Cole's got to start this thing off, shove the bats down their throat, and then Severino has an opportunity to also add to it. So I'm excited for the series. We'll see what happens. Got a day off. I know they haven't had one in a bit. So hopefully that was a good thing for them. I hope that they have extended leg room on the plane. Hopefully the Yankees actually made that decision and gave these guys some leg room because they needed it.
All right. We will talk to you guys in a few days. Thanks for listening.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. I must be out or I pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home.
This Cheeseburger. I'm down here, the only Yankees fan in the South that gives a shit about the Yankees. But right now, Garrett Cole ain't worth a shit. He's giving up a home run after home run to a guy with only 9 fingers. I just don't get it. Why do these guys look like the best team in the freaking league? Why does every team look like that? I don't get it. And I'm just ranting because we pay this man so much money, and then Judge wants $36 million. To hell with all he can do is freaking pop up to first base. All right? I'll probably be back on here the rest of the night. So stick with Cheeseburger back again. I just watched the most pitiful bullshit that I've ever seen in my life. Gleyber Torres needs to be sat on his little ass on the bench and never gotten up again because the situational hitting with this team is non-existent. You got first and second, nobody out. You're down by 3. Okay, move the fucking runners. Quit trying to hit a fucking home run all the time. You fucking fly open. You're not Bo Bichette. I'm sorry to let you know, you're not Bo Bichette. You can't swing out of your goddamn mind and try to hit the ball hard. He's got no concept of it. So he really needs his ass sit back down to AAA to figure out what the fuck's going on and try to get down to the basics, because it's so fucking frustrating to watch, and I just can't. It's hard for me to sit here and watch this bullshit. I'm sitting there first and second, nobody out, and we don't score a run. We get somebody to third with 2 out. Like, come on, figure it the fuck out.
Maybe next year, boys. Maybe next year. Donaldson can't hit. Connor Falefa can't hit. Higashioka can't hit. Gallo can't hit. I'm just saying, this Yankees team should be like hitting bombs every fucking at bat, and we can't even get a fucking man on the bases. I don't know when the Cashman stuff is gonna stop. We need to get fucking rid of Brian Cashman. I'm about to put in so many fucking death threats to that man.
Can you believe that fucking bullshit? That's why automated strike zones are coming. Fuck the umpires. Judge gets screwed every goddamn motherfucking game with a low strike. And then these motherfucking umps, oh, fuck that bullshit. I swear to God, I'm so mad. Aroldis Chapman came out there. He wasn't even sweating. He was pitching. Can you believe that motherfucking call? Aroldis Chapman, high and tight slide. Coming in tight, 3-2, 2 outs. Bases loaded. You gotta send that into extra innings, dog. That's just bullshit. Angel Hernandez could have called him that. I called him that. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Hey, Pinstripers, is Eric from Syracuse, and really not much to say about this one. It's pretty much the same thing as last year, which is fitting because it's the running back Yankees. Yeah, pretty much if they're not hitting home runs, they're an average at best team. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, love the show. This is Kevin from Yonkers. I am calling to defend the Yankee strategy of resting guys. It's a good move. You expect Judge to play 162 games? No. If he plays 140, we'll take it. That's 86% of the year. So rest, rotate the rest, calm down, Yankee fans. This team is built for a deep playoff run. Cut the nonsense. They're doing the right thing.
Michael K. and Cameron Maben have absolutely zero chemistry with one another. It's just a bad experiment gone wrong. Sorry, Cameron, I love you, but you are not good color.
Hey guys, this is Ben from North Carolina, first time, long time. I just wanted to say that I don't think Cashman and Boone could run a 25-cent lemonade stand without it catching on fire and burning to the ground. Yep, that's it.
Look, this has to be one of the worst games I've ever seen. How do you have a fucking pitcher pitch wonderful innings, 12 strikeouts, pretty sure he had like a 0 ERA, and you don't give him a goddamn run, not even a fucking single one? We're not winning the World Series with this team. I'm sorry, our offense fucking sucks. They suck. We don't deserve Nasty Nestor.
When the Yankees last won their World Series in 2009, they had the highest payroll by like over $50 million. The fact that now fans are defending Hal, cheaping out on Correa, fucking whoever, Freeman, whatever, as having a top 3 payroll as justification just shows how pathetic we've become. Anyone defending Hal, and to an extent Cashman, he's done a shit job with the money he has, It's just pathetic. Hal's laughing at you.
Andrew and Scott, I'm calling after this fucking disaster in Baltimore Sunday night. Scott, usually I want to take your side always. Team changed it up, IKF. Got rid of Gary Sanchez, addition by subtraction, trying to fucking change his team up. And you know what? Here we are in a Sunday in Baltimore, and not a fucking thing has changed. This offense is absolutely impotent. I mean, it's just limp dick left and right. Nobody, the guys we think that we can rely on, we can't rely on. These guys cannot fucking hit. And Cashman, everybody, they fleeced us. They thought they sold us on this new look Yankees. We all got hope. Here we are 10 days in. And I don't want to be extra pessimistic, but I'm feeling a lot like Andrew. And this is some bullshit because the thing is, if we go out and Nasty Nestor gives up 6 runs and, we score 4 and we think that that's just what it is and it's just a bad night for Nestor, that's one thing. But it's the same old shit that we've seen, different day. Same problems on this Yankees team, not solved, not addressed in the offseason, not addressed at all between these players. There's no responsibility. These guys, it's just bullshit. And we're 10 games in, and we all know exactly what we're going to see all season. And it's bullshit. It's just frustrating, and it makes it tough to like this team, man. It really does. You want to root for them, and this is just some bullshit. So, fingers crossed that they can turn this around, but I'm not very optimistic. But let's go Yankees.
Hey, what's up, boys? I'll try to keep this short because I'll end up going on a rant about how pathetic this team is. But I genuinely just don't understand how we keep just submitting different lineups day after day. No one knows where they're hitting in the lineup after we've heard major leaguers say that they like to know when they come to the ballpark where they're going to be in the field, where they're hitting the lineup every day. That consistency is key. And we just play musical chairs unlike any other team in the major league. I don't get how we have an off day tomorrow and we're sitting Rizzo and Gallo, but then we're going to bring them in the 7th and have them have what are we doing? I don't get it. Boone makes no sense. Why the hell was Licky not brought in when we have Loizaga laboring and Licky's ready to go up against the lefty? It makes no sense. We're the exact same team as last year, just with a worse bottom half of the lineup. It's pathetic, and it's all to blame on Cashman. Cashman is a joke. None of those World Series except for 09 was him. It's insane. It's pathetic. It's unwatchable. And lastly, bring up Volpe and fucking fire Glaber to the fucking moon.
Hey, Bronx Pinstripes. This is Adam calling. I just want to say that a lot of people are going after Boone for this. He is terrible in every way, but at the same time, you've got major league hitters out there, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and they gotta put up better at bats than that. I mean, DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Hicks, they're being paid millions of dollars to do better than that against the Baltimore Orioles. I do think Boone's management does have a factor on this offense, though, in that by sitting the hottest players the day after their best game of the season, I think that cools them off. I think that definitely has a crappy effect on the offense. And obviously leaving Loizaga in there was a mistake, but they didn't score any runs when Nestor was out there, pitching perfectly for 5 innings. So I don't know. I feel like the offense is equally to blame, and that's my take on it. But fire Boone, and but also hold the offense accountable. It's not going to happen, but that's what I think would be good for this team.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bronx Pinstripes Show. Make sure you find us on iTunes and subscribe so you can get all new episodes directly onto your phone. If you do like the show, we'd love for you to take a minute and give us a 5-star rating and review in iTunes. It really helps us out and allows us to create more shows. We're on Twitter at Bronx Pinstripes and the same on Facebook. You can always find us there talking Yankee baseball. Thanks again, guys, for your support. Really appreciate it, and go Yankees.